I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. Pastor Dr. Michael Green.
It's the new, all-natural, family-friendly pharmacy, Family Choice Pharmacy, located at 8313 Annapolis Road, New Carrollton, Maryland. Family Choice offers alternative medicines as well as discount programs you can easily enjoy. Come be a part of our family at Family Choice Pharmacy, as every family should know their pharmacist. If you're looking to join the family today, you can reach us at 301-577-1212 at Family Choice Pharmacy.
If you like to roller skate, you will love Lanham Skate Center. We offer all kinds of specials, birthday parties, skate classes, and more. You can even reserve the rink for a special event. Skate rentals only $3, so roll on over to Lanham Skate Center today. Located at 9901 Lanham Severn Road in Lanham, Maryland. For more information about our weekly schedule, visit us on the web at lanhamskatecenter.com or call for more information at 301-577-1733. That's 301-577-1733.
Don't I thought she was going to say Alexa.
We all thought
it's on.
someone was saying Alexa. They got Alexa?
She doesn't really listen to her name. She listens to everything.
Okay, well, who's Alexa?
We're live. Thank you. Hey, great evening, everyone, and welcome to the greatest show on this side of greatness. And, of course, it is My Brother's Keeper, where greater men continue to make men great with a spirit of excellence. And, of course, we do know it's a Tony the Tiger Terrific Tuesday, and we're always going to make it great for you. Also like to welcome the Dallas-Fort Worth area, San Antonio, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina. Also, New Jersey, Maryland, and the DMV area, all the way on the West Coast, Pomona, California, and with the leadership of Imani Christian Cathedral, Bishop Jelani Kathala. We thank you for your constant support. Also, we like to give a great big shout out to Bishop James B. Walker, Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, the presiding prelate of the 7th District. Thank you for your constant support also. The call-in number is 301-429-9247, 301-429-WBGR. Also, remember, you can like and share, and you can also watch us on Facebook Live by tuning into my page, or go to WBGRonline.com or Roku, or simply by downloading the WBGR app on Fire Stick. And you can also allow us into your home on your 75-inch television screen. Okay, and here with me tonight is my co-host, Dr. Bryan Champion. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Good to be here on another Tuesday.
How about that? You know, when I heard that, I think of going into a restaurant, a particular restaurant that say, welcome when you come in. But I'll just say one welcome.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I'll just say one thank you.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, the show tonight, I would really like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the Thomas family, Sister Marilyn, Brother Cayenne, and Brother Daniel. Our hearts are truly saddened on the loss of your father, Reverend Dr. Weldon Thomas. Truly, it was just a shock to me, as I know that he was a man of integrity. He was first a man of integrity. He was a husband and who served his wife and loved his wife well, and he was a father who loved and served his children, and well as the daughter-in-law, Sister Money, definitely his grandchildren, and he was a pastor. He was a pastor's pastor, and I also like to say he was a friend. He pastored me from age 17 on to my mid-20s, and definitely he was the model of a great man, and simply he will be missed forever. Definitely my heart is saddened, as well as I'm still shocked in my spirit, but definitely my heart goes out to the family. My condolences, as well as my prayers, and we will continue to keep you lifted in prayer equally as well. About 2 years ago, Dr. Thomas was he called in, and we did the Facebook picture of him, and we were talking about love. And it was around this time that we were talking about Valentine's Day and love. And he called in, and a very powerful message. He postponed his Bible study for about a half an hour so that he could make the show, and call all the way from New York City to be a part of my brother's keeper, and just a man that was always giving of himself. And he will truly be missed. He served his country well. He served the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church well. He served the armed services, and just all around, just a servant hero that I myself personally would model. And God bless, and make sure, my spirit is just, broken, because not only was he pastor, he was friend.
Yes.
And may he rest in peace. May he rest in peace. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to also just follow up on a lot of what you're saying. He's someone that I've known for, I would say, since the 70s, when he was back in at Israel Metropolitan Church, and up-and-coming preacher at the time, and we did young adult ministry together.
Yes.
But one thing I'll say about him, and you mentioned him being a family man, there was a period of time when he and I would often travel to meetings together for Board of Christian Education.
Okay.
And so we would just get a chance to share, and the stories he would share about his wife and his boys were stories of a proud husband and a proud father, and I enjoyed hearing those stories, and how it just the relationships that they had. And I'm sure that when he was on your show, he probably gave you some excerpts from his book.
Absolutely.
Because he had a book of love poems that he had written to his wife over the years, and then he collected them all into a book.
Yes.
And and I remember one annual conference, him sharing those stories during one of the minister spouses, and he talked about the relationship and between the pastor and the pastor's wife, and how having a supportive spouse is such a blessing. So we definitely will miss him. He and I spent about 25 years
He
in
said
leadership.
the book of poetry, Reverend Harrison. I'm sorry. Welcome, Reverend Harrison, Sister Carol Black Henderson, Letitia P., Tony Session, Jacqueline Upshur Price. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Reverend Harrison, Al Harrison, said an example of ministry, first at home, and the book of poetry, her.
That's right. Yes, sir.
That's the name,
So,
the name of the book. Amen.
but he will definitely be missed for the leadership he gave to not only his congregation and to many of us as friends, but the work that he did with youth and Christian educators
yes.
all over the New York Washington Conference, and actually the Connectional Church.
Yes.
For the gift of teaching that he provided to us. And we just want to thank God for the blessing of being able to share life and experiences with him.
Yes, definitely missed. And hey, just to kind of like speed up things just a little bit, how about all of the blackface that's been surfacing lately?
Man, that's it's a mess. But what bothers me mostly about some of the politics that are beginning to show up around that whole subject is that all of a sudden now they've thrown the lieutenant governor
Fairfax.
Right,
Fairfax.
into the mix, and in a way of diverting attention away from
Northam.
From the blackface to sexual assault, and I in no way
Alleged.
Well, no. What I'm saying is they're turning it to that subject.
Yes.
And what in no way am I saying I have any support for what's going on, because I don't know the facts. However, it's a political strategy to divert attention away from one thing, and so allow each of them to be, judge and jury and go through due process on their own. But don't try to use one to deflect the other and sacrifice Fairfax in order that the governor and the attorney general and others can be kind of, shy away from the attention of media and of the voters.
Well, one thing that I look at is that a sword is sharp on both edges, and once you swing it one way, it comes back another. And so in saying that, remember that we still have Supreme Court Kavanaugh, who was alleged of sexual misconduct with Blasey Ford. Also, we have the sitting president who has allegations against him equally as well. So, and he's president, and one made it to the Supreme Court. So I think that, we really need to deal with this thing, sexual misconduct. We need to deal with blackface. We need to just pull the covers off of it all and call a thing. And let justice rain down. Justice rain down like a mighty water, and call a thing. And so one thing that I would say even now, they paint everything blackface but Jesus. But somebody will get that later on. Somebody will get that later on.
Well, they don't have to paint him blackface because he's black.
Well, we know, but everybody but him.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
don't make me explain the joke, brother.
No. I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's go right into our Black History fact.
Oh, yeah. So, first of all, since last week you did a couple of birthdays, I'll give a couple of shout-outs for today, February 12th. Okay. And so Bill Russell.
All right.
NBA.
Bill Russell.
Superstar. And, 11 rings.
11.
I believe it was 11 rings. His birthday is today. He's 85 years old.
Happy birthday, Mr. Russell.
And a former night show host that probably a lot of us used to watch, and actually I'm kind of waiting to see if he's going to be part of the sequel to Coming to America. Some of us know him as Simi.
Okay.
But Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall.
Turned
Happy
63
birthday, Mr. Hall.
Today. So we just want to 63.
63. Okay,
Yes.
63.
Yes, so 63. So we just want to recognize Bill Russell and Arsenio Hall today for their birthdays. But
Okay.
for Black History Month, I thought I'd pull one out. You know, February again is our month where everybody's thinking Valentine's Day, and so you start thinking about romance and different things like that.
Romance.
So when you were growing up, what brother represented romance more so than anybody else?
What brother?
What brother represent when you were growing up in the 70s and 80s? Before Denzel was Denzel, there was a brother that represented romance. He was the heartthrob of all the women.
I would say, to me, Luther Vandross, because he sang.
Okay,
He was a singer.
all right,
But
yeah,
but one main man, one main man, do you want my arm to fall off?
that's right.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams, and this is the interesting thing. Billy D. Williams Jr., William December Williams.
Billy December Williams.
That's right. So William December Williams Jr. was his official name, but we knew him as Billy D. Born in 1937. So I was looking it down, saying 1937.
1937.
You know, he is, 82 years old. And there were some pictures of him, and I was saying, hey, still looking young and still looking sharp. But, what we look at Billy D. and we look at his movie career and started in the 1950s, even to the point that in 2019, he's scheduled to be in Star Wars 9.
Yes.
So still active in the movie career. Yes. But see, I remember him. My first movie remembering Billy D was a movie called Bryan's Song.
Okay.
About
Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers and
Yes, sir.
Bryan Piccolo. Yeah, Bryan Piccolo, so he played Gail Sayers in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a great movie.
Tearjerker.
And that was the one that all of us kind of didn't see the end coming the way it did. But Bryan's Song. But he was also in Lady Sings the Blues with Diana Ross, and then they did
one of my favorites.
They did such a good job. They were in Mahogany. He was in Batman. There's a whole lot of that.
Hey,
did you know? Go ahead.
How about Bingo Long and the All-Traveling
All-Stars?
Yes,
1976.
Richard Pryor, James Earl Jones, but of course Billy D. Williams.
That's right, 1976.
That was my man.
But he was born in New York City. Did you know he had a twin sister, Loretta?
Well, no.
Yeah. So,
Is she Loretta D?
Loretta Williams.
Okay, okay.
But also, not only does he have movie fame, we also saw him playing in Dynasty across from Diane Carroll. And I didn't know this, but he was in General Hospital. I never saw that show. I guess we were at school and work when General Hospital was going on.
I was in school.
Yeah. And he was on the Hughleys as DL's dad.
Okay.
Played in episodes of Martin.
Wow.
And here's something else that you might not know.
Go ahead with it.
That Billy D. recorded an album where he sang in a jazz album.
It wasn't Coke 45, was it?
Okay, we're going in there. But my most memorable moment of Billy D. Williams, he made Coke 45 a romantic drink. He said,
malt liquor.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. And everybody wanted to go, and they thought if they got a Coke 45, they could have any woman they wanted. Billy D. was that convincing to every teenage boy. And he just said it so smoothly. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. So Billy D. has such a broad career, and was given the NAACP Image Award in 1972. So we just want to recognize Billy D. today as our Black History person of interest.
One movie that comes to mind, if you guys can help me remember, he played in a Spike Lee movie where the guy was being deprogrammed, Eric LaSalle. He was being Drop Squad. That's the name of it, Drop Squad. he played, the chicken, and he was selling the chicken, and they poisoned the chicken to make African Americans purchase the food and drink the beer as well. So yeah, Drop Squad was a good movie as well.
I don't remember that one. So in that one, you said he was
Spike Lee movie.
They poisoned the chicken.
Yeah,
and had them drink the Coke 45.
Yeah, they not only just they did a lot of mockery to for increased sales, marketing, and he did the malt liquor and the black community.
Okay.
Basically. So yeah, it just. My head is filled with a lot of useless information. I'm sorry, brother.
No. But that's the thing is his span of television,
yes,
movies, recording. It's just so great. And like I said, we're looking at
Sister Carol said, didn't he paint? Sister Carol Black Henderson said, didn't he paint also?
I did not see that in his bio, but he possibly did. See, and that's what I'm saying. Wow. Someone
extensive,
whose career we see going 60 years.
Yes. Wow. Easy.
Yeah. So
legacy there. Pastor Billy T. Staten, thank you for joining. Dr. Sonia Brown, thank you for joining in tonight. And Brother Alvin C. Foster, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead, brother.
Well,
you got it.
Okay, so just before we get into our topic for the day, I just want to also continue as we talk about Healthy Heart Month. Absolutely. And as we lead into Valentine's Day and everybody's thinking about their boo. But while you're thinking about your boo, think about your heart. Because without your heart, you can't celebrate your boo. So boom, boom. That's right. So, last week we just kind of mentioned a couple of quick things to remember, and I'm going to reinforce them. Go visit your doctor. Those regular checkups. When you ain't feeling good, you need to go in. Get rest and sleep. Eat home-cooked meals.
Home-cooked.
And fellas, you can, use this as a ploy when you're talking to your lady, saying, if you love me and you want my heart to be right, you'll give me more home-cooked meal and everything. So because she loves you and she wants your heart to be healthy. So we just want you to also recognize that you're partners in this together, this healthy heart. And not just for the month of February.
Because that's the shortest month,
Exercise, get in that regular exercise. And the exercise is not just picking up the remote control. It's getting out and getting maybe 20 minutes of accelerated heart rate, each day.
Absolutely.
And
when you talk about the heart rate, what I do, what I've just recently started doing is push-ups. Like when I wake up in the morning to get my adrenaline to flowing and popping and circulating, I immediately, after getting up out of the bed, I drop down and do about 15 to 20 and then work my way up to 40 before I jump in the shower and that get that cardiovascular to moving and pumping and jumping.
And the thing about exercising is for many of us who aren't regular exercise, individuals, that we don't have to overdo it.
Yes.
It's just some basic things. You can walk. You can take the stairs rather than the elevator. There's little things that you can, motions you can make as you're walking by pumping your arms and different things of that nature. I even sat through a workshop where they showed everyone chair exercises where while you're sitting at your desk, lifting up your legs and stretching. So there are a lot of ways that we can get exercise in. We don't have to have a membership at the gym, and we don't have to, go out and spend a lot of money getting all this workout gear. That we can just do it in our as part of our natural routine.
Absolutely.
And the last thing I'll say again is don't smoke. And as the years have gone on and smoking has become less popular in the African American community, what has become popular, especially for African American men, is smoking cigars. And so we just kind of say, hey, that is also not good for the heart. So I invite you to go to heart.org. the website and learn more about keeping your heart healthy and knowing your numbers, knowing your weight, knowing your blood pressure, and knowing your cholesterol, and monitor them on a regular basis to ensure that they're in the levels that they should be in.
Also, that sugar, the carbohydrates consumption, absolutely. I'm on board with you, Doc. Actually, as I've turned, half a century, you think differently now because your body, how you have taken care of your body, it will tell on you. So I'm into really taking better care of my body and getting that regular rest that is necessary, that is needed.
That's right.
So that, when you wake up, you don't need a lot of outside things to help get you motivated or, get you rejuvenated in the morning. Those are things you can do yourself, like I said, the push-ups and stuff. So thank you so much for bringing us.
Sometimes people will say, to me and others, I've heard them say, oh yeah, I can't do this anymore and I can't do that anymore. And say, no, you can still do certain things, but oftentimes when you overdo it, it takes you longer to recover. So don't use that as a way of saying, I'm not going to do the things. Just take the time to recover after you extend yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's where the rest comes in. So, push yourself with the workouts, push yourself with but also ensure that you get the balance of rest and
allow
relaxation.
Those muscles to relax and come back into place.
Absolutely.
Just rest. Yes, absolutely. All right. Right now, I guess we can go right into our topic tonight, ladies and gentlemen, which is self-love. Do you love yourself? Love yourself, self-love, however you want to toss it up and flip it down. But do you know what self-love is? And are you taking care of yourself to the point where you have self-love? Self-love is a term that oftentimes gets lost, and we always at times we turn around and we take care of others, and we do things for others so much that we neglect ourselves. And there is a saying of being selfish as opposed to self-love, and self-love is something that every individual deserves and need for themselves, because as you were just talking about the heart healthy, it puts us right in place of understanding that's taking care of yourself. Because if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone else. So again, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about self-love. So one of the reasons we find it hard to love ourselves is because we focus on our faults and all the negative things about us. And this is called negativity bias. And this is a phenomenon that is there are two equally charged stimuli that stimuli the negative one will attract more of the mind's attention. You ever be in a place or a position where someone give you information, someone give you good information, someone give you bad information? You ever notice that your mind will gravitate to the negative? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Or even there's a story, just a brief story here, that there was a day that Truth went and took off his clothes and took a skinny dip, and Lie was coming right around the corner and put on Truth clothes and went into the neighboring town and started telling lies with Truth. And so Truth all of a sudden got out of the pool of the river and came and saw that his clothes wasn't there and ran to the neighboring town. And here is Lie then turn around and say, "Here comes the naked Truth." Okay, but again, that's one of my jokes, okay? But again, you notice how a lot of times it's not easy. Here comes the naked truth. Okay, here we go. But anyway, again, a lot of times, okay, my producer's laughing too much over there. She's laughing too much over there. Did you all get that joke? Did you all get that joke out there? But anyway,
and if you didn't, it'll be back on Monday at 10 a.m. on the rebroadcast.
Okay, but we really want to talk about how your brain automatically goes to the negative of what someone says into the positive. Just as a child is growing up, excuse me, the child will hear a lot of remarks about, or the parent will say, "You're dumb, you're stupid, you're not important," and amazingly, that child will then hear good comments about themselves, but they'll hold on to the negative. That's pretty amazing. And so that's where, a lot of times we want to get into the self-love of how to get out of the negative bias and always gravitating to the negative.
No, you're right. And that's part of human nature, as you said, that we do, allow things to stick with us and stay with us longer that often have the negative impact or the negative feeling about ourselves. And because of that, we often surround ourselves and our desire to look for love in ways that don't start in the right places. So we can't have healthy love relationships if we first of all don't love God.
Absolutely.
And we don't love ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll just say this: at the Bunton Church, the church motto is love God, love God's people, and love yourself. And that trio of what's going on, and actually oftentimes, I play with that. Should it be love yourself, then love God's people? But regardless, those are three pieces that are very important to being in a healthy love relationship
with yourself. And even during this season of Valentine Day, many people are seeking to be loved instead of first having a self-love. They're looking to receive love from other places instead of giving themselves love and loving themselves.
Well, if you don't love yourself, then it's very hard for others to love you.
Absolutely.
Because then, one, you've already shown that you're willing to not accept love with your lack of love for yourself.
Okay. Well, Proverbs 23:7a portion says, "For as a man thinketh, so is he." So again, how we feel about ourselves, again, as we think these things, feel these things about ourselves, I believe that we attract those things that we think. So when you begin or you continue to think negative or negatively, what begins to happen is you attract those negative things to come at you. So as a man thinketh, so is he. So if I think success, my thoughts, and then I'll begin to receive those things of success that I have thought about. That even the Bible again says, if I, what you put out, you'll get back. You reap what you sow. So again, we have to be able to have good thoughts about ourselves. But how do we get to a place where we start to begin to think healthy as a result of our reality being negative, Dr. Champion?
Well, one, I think when we go back into loving ourselves, it's important. And then, when we were talking earlier before we went on the air, we were talking about, the whole piece of loving ourselves. We can not love ourselves enough. And we can also love ourselves too much.
Selfish.
So there becomes, when, we need to develop the skill and understanding of loving ourselves.
Okay.
But then sometimes when we love ourselves too much, we need to humble ourselves in order that we might find ourselves right in that right place.
Amen.
But healthy love starts with God. And loving God. And if we begin our love for God, then that puts us in a perspective of understanding that as creatures of God, people who've given our life to God, people who also have aligned ourselves with the purpose that God has given us, gives us a feeling of self-worth. So when you have self-worth, there is a love that we have for ourselves. Oftentimes, the lack of love that we have for ourselves is because we don't recognize our self-worth. So aligning ourselves in that place where we have that alignment and that self-worth, it gives us that opportunity to have healthy love. Now, secondly, and I'll just say this, is that when we look at whole love, whole love is only whole love if it's inclusive of your love for God and your love for yourself.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to be whole, and that's what we talk about. We talk about health and we talk about whole. Then whole love includes that love for God, that love for ourselves. And then the healed love is that reconciliation between our love for God, our love for self, and how we recognize and allow God to use our loved self
Absolutely.
to be a blessing to those we come in contact with. Now we're able to love others because we've loved God and we've loved ourselves and we reconcile and understand that love and the gift that God gives us toward love. And now we can share that love with others.
Absolutely. It's like you're adding value now to yourself because of what God has shown you about love within you and Him. It's first of all that God love.
And when we're not aligned with God, when we don't love ourselves and we try to love others, oftentimes we think we're loving someone, but we're not even able to give people the love that they've asked for. You know.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
I remember one time y'all told me, man, you got stories. But I remember years and years ago, I mean, in my 20s, I think I was, in a relationship. And the young lady told me, I'm disagreeing with her about her feelings for me or the way she treats me. And she says to me, but I've never treated anyone as good as you, as I've treated you. She said, and I've never loved anybody more than I loved you. And I said, well, just because you love me more than you love someone else don't mean that you love me. Just because you treated me better than you treated anyone else doesn't mean that you're treating me good.
Dun dun.
And that's what's happening. When you don't know how to give healthy love, you might be giving the best you can give.
Absolutely.
But it still ain't enough.
Yeah. From your place of view.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we can say, I'm doing the best I can, or you can say, I'm giving you what better than I've given anyone else, or I've never shared before. But still, when you're not whole, when you haven't had that reconciliation of your godly love and love for yourself, you can't give and share love.
Right. That's right. It's impossible. It's impossible. Or you're just going to love from the space you're in.
Right.
And however dysfunctional it is, that's what you call love.
That's right.
Because you're not willing to see what the ultimate love is. And there is a greater love. And that love is outside of ourselves, and it's in that place that we develop a relationship with God. Good point. Great point. So as we continue to develop our love in God, then there's that place of transformation. So now we have to transform ourselves by the renewing of our mind. And that it deals with the fact of the memories or the experiences of what we've had to tell us what love is. So it's a challenge now. So on my quest to become healed, I then begin to struggle with what is to come as opposed to what has been. So now I got to flush those things out. Go ahead and expound on that, my brother.
No, and you're right. And see, what's really interesting about certain things, until you've had that epiphany, you have no clue that you haven't been in that space. So what happens is sometimes when we've had an epiphany and we've moved and we've had that transformation, then we also look at things so different, and we can go back and say, I actually thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
how we've talked in other weeks, and we just carry the same thing until you align yourself with God and God's will.
Come on, Doc. Come on.
If you're not aligning yourself, if you're not praying, if you're not worshiping, if you're not studying and aligning yourself, then is my living in vain.
Come on, Doc.
So we're living, we're giving, we're loving, we're doing all these things. We're ministering, we're reaching out to people. But if it's not aligned with the will of God and God's purpose in our life, then it still comes up as empty blessings.
Absolutely.
Because we have not fulfilled the wholeness of God's will.
I definitely agree.
We're not living healthy.
We can attest what the perfect will of God is for our life when we become transformed. And becoming transformed, I look at the word, it's transformed. It's that we're on the move and we're taking on a new shape. A new shape of what we're becoming. So we're moving out of what once was into what is, and that's what God is calling for our lives. And so it's so important to flush out the negative. I look at it, man, as what's that?
Reverend Oliver, are my eyes deceiving me? Is that Dr. Champion wearing red? You must have a deep dark purple t-shirt.
Up under the red.
I got on the purple sock, but Reverend Oliver, we are celebrating Valentine's Day, so I'm wearing red all month.
Well, we're celebrating Heart Healthy Month.
Right, so we're wearing.
That's why we're wearing red.
We're wearing red in celebration, and Pastor Oliver, thank you for.
Here's my red.
Here, thank you for joining us, and I'll just say this too: as we're talking about healthy relationships, it's Take 3. We had them on last year, and I think they had been on before, and they preach healthy relationships. That, and when they say it takes 3, it's because just you and her or you and him ain't enough. Absolutely. It has to be God, and that's the trio that allows for a healthy relationship, healthy marriages. And he's going to put on here, he's going to text us or put on Facebook information about his
upcoming conference,
upcoming event this weekend, and how you can come and share with other couples of This Take 3 and align your family with the will of God and their ministry.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining Reverend Pastor Gordon Oliver. Always a treat when you drop in on us, man. Thank you so much for joining in.
And he celebrated birthday this week, so
happy birthday! Happy birthday, Pastor Oliver.
I'm not going to tell how old he is.
He's a young man,
but he's not as old as Bill Russell.
Man, you gonna get it. You gonna get it.
Oh, and we celebrated his birthday on Sunday with a surprise birthday feast, and I'm just so thankful for his birthday and all the fried chicken that they had at church on Sunday.
Well, that's all right. It's always good to celebrate your pastor, the servant of God. Amen?
That's right.
One who breaks the bread of God for you guys. I mean, it's awesome to celebrate the pastor, the man of God.
That's right.
I'm not just saying that. So
no,
celebrate.
I'm a pastor's son. And so I was raised in an opportunity to see people love my father. And I appreciate it. And now they love my father, they love my mother, and they love me too.
Amen.
So even with all the whatever I bring to the table, they still treated me well. So I've always been a fan of supporting the pastor and giving pastors due.
Okay, amen. Praise God. Let us veer and merge back into on topic.
But that's love.
That's love.
That's love. That's healthy love.
That's healthy love.
Love your pastor is healthy.
And oftentimes when there is unhealthy love, then some people are on the hard end of that stick, and that's not a good thing. No. When we come to churches or in relationships or wherever we find ourselves, if we don't have that healthy understanding or that place of knowing a relationship with God, to know that God is love. And if we're in the image of God, then he made us in his image, so we are love. So now it begins to come into focus. The lens begin to shift and come into focus to know that I am better than what has been given to me. Right. As we've been reared and raised and receive negativity or negative information. And then we continue on that quest through becoming transformed by the renewing of our mind, by staying, as you said before, in right relationship with God, through the study, through the prayer life, through the constant development, through the Word of God, and developed in that place where God would have us to be, to serve in that purpose. Because God said in his word that he wants to do us good and not evil.
That's right.
He know the plans.
So, and the thing that's very important, as we were talking about, when you are not aligned with God, and we talk about how you can give unhealthy love, but also you're receptive to receiving unhealthy love. And that's something we have to often watch ourselves. And that's where our self-worth and often steps in, about our understanding that we deserve healthy love.
Come on, somebody.
And so when you're getting unhealthy love, you can't just accept the fact that, well, it is love, or, well, it's better than nothing.
Yes.
And our mind plays these tricks with us to allow us to accept unhealthy love and begin to justify why unhealthy love is an acceptable form of love. But again, as a recipient of unhealthy love, again, aligning yourself with the Word of God and aligning yourself with God's vision, because God don't want you to be receiving. Just like he don't want no one to give unhealthy love, he don't want you to receive unhealthy love. So God will show you and transform your mind, like you said, in a way that lets you know what your worth is, and what you should be accepting as a acceptable form of love. So I'd be willing to say, is that, you know what, no love is better than unhealthy love. Because if I got God love and love for myself,
self-love, come on,
then I got the love I need until God gives me the vision to accept the good love from others. And that's be it friends, co-workers, and sometimes we we think of relationships and couples in these unhealthy love relationships, but sometimes we take mess off of family and friends because we just believe that that's natural love. And what we have to recognize is that, that's not healthy love. And until you draw that line, people will continue to give you that unhealthy love. But sometimes by not accepting it is what also aligns someone to begin to understand what acceptable and proper love actually is.
Brother Alvin,
go ahead.
how can you love anything or anybody if you don't love yourself?
Self-love is so important. And that's where we talked about, Brother Alvin, we talked about developing a self-love, getting in a place where God, you understand who God is, and God begin to show you his love because he is love. And based upon his love, you begin to develop a self-love of what you will not accept and not allow into your space. So you're not receiving contaminated love, and that you are worthy of great love because of your self-love of yourself, and you're not willing to accept it. Dr. Champion just alluded to not accepting just any love for someone saying, I love you up to my point of being able to love you, but you require more love. But I think with the transformation of and the renewing of the mind, that begin to build us up. And so we begin to have to deal with and grapple and wrestle with those unhealthy things, because there are new ways of God's love and we're adding value. So there are bad things. So I'm going to have bad days. How about dealing with the bad days and the things of people coming to give me bad love?
Well, bad days, again, if we love ourselves, we're going to always still hold ourselves in a special place.
Yes.
Through bad times and good times. Because we're always still going to see our value. We're always going to see our regard for ourselves, our worth. So allowing yourself to not over focus on the bad days is a way that we keep ourselves, again, through those days. Sometimes, that just means you got to pray a little harder.
Absolutely. Or recognize those days, I would say. But let's speak to the person who have a bad day, but they always wanting someone to believe that they're having a greater day than what they're having. And it comes off as phony. What about that person? But they always feel that they gotta say, I'm living my best life. I'm great. I'm blessed and highly favored. But yet still they have turmoil and all kind of issues and challenges going on the inside. What do you say about that person?
One thing that we have to recognize is that in true transparency, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. Okay? See, when you love yourself, you can be vulnerable because you can share what hasn't gone well, but still understand its value to not only your life, but also the value into the life of who you're sharing that with. It's because God has given us the history that we had so that we can share it with someone else. That's why we have uniqueness about ourselves, our story, as we would say, because somebody else needs to hear that story to show them that they too can move from A to B. So again, if you love yourself, then you're willing to be vulnerable to the person, because no matter what you say to them or what you tell them still doesn't change who you are.
That's right.
And the gift that God has given you to continue to, love, share, and to minister into the lives of others.
Be true to thine own self.
That's right.
As night follows the day, you can be untrue to no man.
The days I used to, and I used to say this to people, I say, when it's nobody but you and darkness, you can't, there's nobody to lie to. There's nobody to pretend with. And so sometimes when you sit in that moment of you and darkness, and you realize your truth. See, and it's one thing to fool others, but it's another thing to try to fool yourself.
Come on, Doc. Come on.
And we need to recognize when we're not being honest with ourselves, when we are not owning up and being accountable for where we are in our life, when it's always an external source we have to own it. And when we own it, and there's nothing wrong with owning negativity. There's nothing wrong with owning failure,
because you're not going to remain there.
Because again, that's who you are.
Yes.
But if you have self-esteem,
that's why the grace. Come on.
You have self-esteem that it's still going to allow you to be there. If you have self-regard, knowing that I am my Father's son, that I have been blessed and given a life, it doesn't matter that I have worth. And not only do I have worth, but there's wealth in my worth.
Come on, Doc.
And so when you recognize these things and you accept these things, then it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to fail. It's okay to backslide, because you know that, again, through your love for God and your love for yourself, that you can, move to the next level.
I would just simply say you're embracing your faults. You're embracing a part of yourself. And now the real work can begin. you can start doing the real work of addressing those things that have posed themselves as negative challenges. Because of your worth, you understand your worth because you've been transformed by the renewing of your mind, because you have a relationship with God and you're doing the things that will give you the discipline to develop healthily, to that next place, to approach your to embrace your dark side, your negative piece, challenge. So I think you're so on point, but not stopping there, but staying consistent in embracing the negative of no, I don't feel this way every day. I don't feel blessed and highly favored every day. I don't feel like I'm living my best life every day. Some days, I just, sometimes I sink down. Sometimes, I go in left field. But now you understand. And as you say, you sit in that place and you write those things down, what your challenges are, so that you can do the work to become better because of your now worth, because you've added value to your life. You've added value to your purpose. I don't have to stay in that place.
That's right.
I can get out of that place. Yes, ma'am.
Sister Tanika Swan, who also has hosts a show on the network, My Sister's Keeper. Many don't realize they don't love themselves. So how do you address that? Or is there time?
And that's when, and you're right, because oftentimes we are not being honest with ourselves, and that is when the self-love is too strong. When it's an overdone strength.
Yeah.
When it becomes about me and not about that relationship with God. And when you align yourself and you have that proper relationship with God, you will learn what God's love is for you and understand how to love God and love yourself in a new way. But you're absolutely right. Because we don't align ourselves with God, we often think that what we're doing is the right thing. But it comes through that prayer, fasting, meditation, developing that relationship with God, that we gain understanding about God's manifestation of how we should spend our life.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we should also remain in a place where we're teachable and we are humble enough to be in the company of others who have more wisdom and have greater wisdom than we do, so that we can almost, when we get ready for it after the transformation of the renewing of our mind, we can then look in that mirror to see our fallacies and our shortcomings, and we can address them. But you, Sister Tanika Swan, you're absolutely correct. Many go a lifetime and realize that they have not loved themselves. They don't love themselves. And that's a very dangerous place. Very dangerous place. And I would encourage others to even, be in a place to share self-love, but don't fight a person to make them love themselves or show them who they are. It's up to them to see who they are until they ask you who they are, and then you can share with them who you believe them to be and the goodness of what God has shown you. And you can give them that testimony, because God says we're overcome by the word of our testimony. So, ladies and gentlemen, our time is up, and we definitely thank you for yours. We thank you for tuning in with us on Our Brother's Keeper, because we are our brother's keeper.
That's right. Share love this week, and happy Valentine's Day to all.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Share healthy love.
Healthy love.
Share, that's right. Thank you.
Our producer said healthy love.
Share healthy love. And, we'll see you next week. I'll still be in red.
Our time is up, and we thank you for yours. Remember, you can catch the rebroadcast of this show on Mondays at 10 a.m. or just simply going to Michael Green's Facebook page or Dr. Bryan Champion's Facebook page and catch the rebroadcast.
That's right.
Remember, when good men stand together, they become greater. We are our brother's keeper, and see you on the other side of greatness. God bless you. Thank you for joining.
My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the